In my day job, I work in the music industry, so let me tell you, I know a thing or two about hustlers. I also know a thing or two about guys who are trying their hardest to fit in with a group that they don't really fit in with. These are the guys that are going to spend a lot of money and a lot of time trying to make it look like they belong even when they don't. And generally speaking, they are robbing Peter to pay Paul and then shifting money here and there and back and forth, pulling the old Kevin Hart. The way my bank account's set up, I got a checking account and a savings account. I got to move money from my savings account over to my checking account. That is basically the everyday life of the main character of this week's movie, Uncut Gems. So as I've been doing at the top of every episode recently, I want to say a big thank you out to everyone who has been sacrificing while we have been stuck inside in quarantine, to those frontline workers, the nurses, the doctors who are going to the hospitals, the folks going into the grocery stores and the retail stores and making sure that the shelves are still stocked, the truckers who are bringing all of those goods to us, and the restaurateurs who are making sure that we don't have to eat our own crappy food every night. Thank you so much for keeping us going during quarantine. And a special thank you to everyone who, in the midst of this quarantine time, has gone out and made your voice heard. The social unrest that I have seen following the death of George Floyd has been amazing, and seeing all Americans come together with one voice and go out and protest and try to bring about change has been amazing. I hope if you are going out and choosing to break quarantine that you're doing so safely, and of course that means to wear a mask at all times, try to distance as much as possible, and to wear gloves whenever you're touching something that might not be clean. This week's movie was at the top of the list of how did we not get out to see it last year. Now during the fall, we, meaning the crew of guys that I always go to the movies with, we actually did try to go out and see this movie twice. In fact, one of those times we actually had tickets to it. But for those of you who live in the greater LA area, you may know the trouble that is Burbank parking on a weekend night. And we left late to get to the movie because traffic was relatively clear. And when we got to Burbank and tried to find a spot, there were literally none. And we drove around the first garage and the second garage. And then the idea was, we're 20 minutes late, maybe 25 minutes late. Are we going to go park in the far garage and then walk and go in, 35, 40 minutes late to a movie, probably 20 minutes after the start time, likely towards the end of the first act, and we just called it and went and got food and went home. And I remember very distinctly on that ride home saying, maybe to myself and maybe to them, but I don't think we're going to remember to see this. And it turns out we didn't. So once the year turned and then quarantine happened, it was one of the things I was super excited about, is waiting for Uncut Gems to come onto streaming so I could check it out. But before we get too far into the movie, let's get through the pleasantries, shall we? Uncut Gems was directed by Josh and Benny Safdie. It was written by Josh and Benny Safdie, along with Ronald Braunstein. It also has a very diverse cast. Of course, starting at the top with Adam Sandler as Howard Ratner, Lakeith Stanfield as Damani, Idina Menzel as Dina Ratner, Eric Bogosian as Arno, Judd Hirsch as Gooey, and with special appearances from the likes of Fat Jewish Josh Ostrowski, KG, Kevin Garnett, The Weeknd, Trinidad James, and of course a lot of Sandler regulars. Not all of them, but some of them do make an appearance as well. So Uncut Gems. What can I say about this movie? This was possibly the most stressful movie I have ever watched or experienced in my entire life. It felt like from the beginning until the very end, I was just stressed and stressed and stressed. And I get that during the movie, Howard Ratner is also feeling very stressed. And because of that, they did such an excellent job of bringing us along this adventure. And when he is making bad bets with life, not just money bets, but bets with life, and we know that they're bad bets, you feel the stress. And I can feel the stress on Adam Sandler as Howard Ratner. I can feel the stress on the other characters around him. And there's just something about this movie's ability to take you into the moment and just feel everything that they're feeling. And just honestly, it feels like as soon as a little bit of stress gets relieved and you think, whoa, Howard could make a good decision here and things will be fine. Nope, the stress gets piled back on for the next thing. And there's something amazing about that. I mean, there's something great about experiencing a movie, not just watching it. There are a lot of really great movies that you can just watch, but when you get so drawn in that you are feeling those emotions, those feelings that the characters themselves are having, that takes something truly, truly great, and this really does it. And again, every time you feel like I can get a little bit of a release, a little bit of relief from it, it just piles back on top. Every single thing about this, nothing seems to work out for this guy, and yet it also kind of works out. And the funny thing about this is I know a lot of guys like this. Guys who make big bets all the time. They're generally faking it, and it always just seems to work out for them. So Uncut Gems is the story of Howard Radner, and he's a diamond and jewelry dealer in New York. He's not up on Fifth Avenue with the really nice places. He's down in the Diamond District, and he's got a small shop in a building. It's one of the places where you gotta know who he is and what he does in order to go there. And we learn as the story goes along that Howard was one of the first guys who got in with the rappers, and he got in with the NBA players, the football players, and said, let's make this part of the culture. And then he started doing crazy stuff, and guys just went along with it. There's a moment where he's showing KG a blinged out Furby. And, the guys are laughing about it, but there's also there that's like, well, nobody has that. That would be super unique. And, maybe it's not my style, but it's something about just being the only one to have it. And that's how they get in the conversation about, oh yeah, now Howard will bling out anything you want and just basically build a culture that way. He was one of the people who was involved in building what we might think about as that player and rapper culture. And I mean, for those of you who are kind of know anything about it, he, I think, is loosely based on Jacob the Jeweler. I know that most of the story probably isn't, about Jacob at all, but just that little bit about building the culture and getting in with these players and with the music culture and just being able to help build it up by just being willing to do whatever. But we find out kind of early on that all of the things that you see are a little bit of a farce, that, the shop is a little run down, as employees are not the best employees you could have. And when someone gives him something to hold, he doesn't hold it. He goes and pawns it and then hopes that he'll be able to get it back when he needs it. And he's doing this because he has a little bit, and by a little bit, I mean like a Michael Jordan size gambling problem. Now, unfortunately, he doesn't have a Michael Jordan size income. He's got a wife who he's separated from. He's got a house out on Long Island. He's got an apartment in the city. A lot of expenses, a lot of stuff going on, and he's just basically trying to keep all those plates up in the air all at one time. And for anyone who's ever been in that kind of situation, it is unbelievably stressful. So of course, as I said at the opening, we feel the stress with him. Every time he goes to make one of those decisions and he's like, I got a sure thing, you just get that. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe gamblers would be like, yep, this is the way out of that. This is the way you get out of that hole. Me, as a non-gambler, was just like, this is a dumb decision. Why would you do that? You finally broke even. Walk away. But it's one of those things, I think. If you're in that culture, the gambling culture, you feel like your next big break is just around the corner. So Howard works with a guy named Damani, played by Lakeith Stanfield, and he introduces him to basketball players and rappers and the like, and he meets KG. Now, it just so happens on the day that KG gets there, he also gets a delivery from Sub-Saharan Africa. And he explains to KG that there is a really rare gem, and it's really hard to get one, especially one that's uncut, so that you can cut it the way that you want. And he shows him this gem, and KG just thinks it is the key to the universe. So he asks to borrow it, and then some shenanigans entail. But essentially what Howard has done is spent a lot of time and a lot of money on this very, very specific uncut gem. And his hope is to send it down to an auction and to make not only his money back, but make in excess way more back than it would, because on the open market, it's worth a lot more than what he paid for it. And we do see a little bit of a scene of how he gets it, kind of where it's taken out of the ground, is that these guys in the mine in Sub-Saharan Africa actually wait for a distraction and then pull this rock from this mine. It's an obsidian mine, I think, of some variety. And they figure out how to send it to Howard. And then the story kind of goes off on how he's trying to get the rock back and he needs to get it to the auction. And he has to go here. He goes to Philadelphia and he's trying to track down Damani because Damani's with KG and KG's got the rock and he's got KG's ring. And then it's pawned so he can get money. And it's just like, there are so many things to keep track of and so many little iterations here, there, and everywhere. It's, yeah, again, why do you feel stressed? Because you, as the viewer, kind of going through it, remember all of these little things. There was a moment when KG came back and he wanted his ring back. And as soon as I saw KG on the screen, I was like, he didn't get the ring back. Ring's still at the pawn shop. And then, of course, it's still at the pawn shop and he's got to go get it. And I was feeling that stress, and of course, Howard didn't remember until he saw KG, just like me, that the ring was still at the pawn shop. So there's just a lot of those moments all the way through the movie. So this movie does have a lot of twists and turns, but especially at the end. So I do want to give a spoiler alert before I talk about the end of the movie. If you do want to see it unencumbered, skip down to the time down below, because we are going to start talking about the spoilers right now. So I guess it's an earlier spoiler as well, but the fact that the guy he owes all this money to is actually related to him and his dad, and so I guess it's his brother-in-law, right? It's his wife's husband. And his dad doesn't like the dude. He thinks he's faking being Jewish. And now Howard owes this guy a lot of money, and the uncut gem is how he's going to get out of all of that. I was just like, oh crap, wait. That'd be like, you owe your sibling that much money? That's ridiculous. And the dude is real rough on him for being kind of related to him. And then, kind of leading into the final act, the unbelievable stress that I felt. Yeah, I always try to work while I'm watching movies. I try to edit something or I'm trying to write. And I don't know, maybe 10 minutes into this, I had to stop and pay attention. But there was literally probably 25 minutes at the end of the movie that everyone who was watching was on the edge of their seat, unable to look away because it was just that intense. But he gets the money from KG for the rock. Instead of giving it to Arno, he concocts this scheme where the girlfriend who he now loves again, even though he'd broken up earlier because she a little bit shady. And I don't know what happened between her and the weekend, but just that shadiness enough. I mean, I'm not as old as Howard is supposed to be, I guess. And I don't date girls who are that young. But that is the reason why. I'm not down for those games anymore that you young millennials be playing. I'm not trying to do that. But Howard concocts a scheme with her and then handing the bag out the window, the whole nine. She runs off to go up to Foxwoods and place a bet. And just the stress. Then he locks Arno in the booth and you're just like, oh my God, he's going to kill everybody. Arno's going to get out of there and murder everyone in your family. And then the unbelievable release of trying to keep track. All right, he needs 26 things, right? So 1, okay, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, and we're counting up with Howard and Arno. And Arno's starting to believe the further along it gets. And then, oh my God, they got it. He won. He actually struck. Oh, Lord. And then they get out of the glass booth. And I know as soon as the door opened, something just struck me. And I was like, look out for that guy. And then gun up and pow. And it was such a bittersweet ending. I mean, that's not even bittersweet. It was just such a terrible ending. It was good. It was a great ending, but it was terrible emotional. But, the thing I did love is that those moments where KG is staring in the rock and, we've seen a couple of times through the movie that thought of the universe being inside the rock, being inside you and all this. And then just to have it close on going into to Howard's eye and the blood and seeing how that all was connected. There was a little bit of something there. I feel like the people I was watching it with, they just really got into that moment far more than I did. I didn't think it was such an overwhelming theme that they could really just go out strongly on that. I really just preferred this kind of the way they did it, where it's like, oh, he's down. Oh, his brother-in-law's down. Oh, the girl, did they get her? What's going on with her? He screwed her. He got it. Oh no! Oh, she got him! And she's got the money! What are they gonna do? And then just kind of leave it there. We don't need the existential little bit at the end. I mean, it was nice, and I love that it kind of tied up that little thing together, connecting all the bits and pieces from Sub-Saharan Africa and The Rock and KG and Howard and all of it. But I didn't really think it was necessary. I think people made it out to be way more than it actually was. But that's enough for spoilers, so let's go on and invite everybody back in, and we will close up this review right now. So overall, This movie is exactly what I thought it was and nothing what I thought it was. I knew I was going to love it. I knew I was going to be into it. I am so upset that I missed it on the big screen. Watching it at home was an experience and it was great, but it would have been I would have been blown away to see this in a theater, and I am upset at myself that I let that opportunity get away. But for you at home who have not had the chance to see it, maybe you haven't even heard of this yet, let me tell you, it is a movie worth seeing. The runtime is over 2 hours. It's like 2:20. And every single minute of it, you will be riveted and it flies by. You don't even notice the time. Now, that being said, let's ask ourselves a question. Is this movie for everybody? It is not for kids. There's a lot of language. There's a lot of actions. There's a lot of sexual innuendo. And I mean, just to kind of give you an insight, there is a moment where Howard is lying to his girlfriend, not the wife, the girlfriend at the apartment, about where he is, and he's in the closet watching her, and he's like sending her messages about what to do while she's there alone waiting for him, and she's doing them, and we're watching as Howard's watching. So not for kids at all, not for teens at all, and not something you want to be watching with your parents at all. But if you are a consenting adult, you are going to enjoy this movie. If you don't like a lot of violence, there's not a lot of violence. There's a little bit of physical violence. There's a lot of threats, like mafia-style threats of violence. There are moments of kind of extreme violence, and they do kind of take you by surprise. You don't really know that it's coming. You do, but you don't. You kind of hope that it doesn't, but it does. So maybe with a grain of salt if you don't really like violent stuff, but otherwise, just the experience of watching this, I think, is for everybody, and you are not going to want to be the person who hasn't when you get back to the office and everyone's talking about what they watched while they were at home in quarantine. This movie will be on people's list for just how crazy it was. And, you know, we for some reason still think of Adam Sandler as the guy who does those like schlubby, like comedy college movies. The guy does some diverse stuff, and this is one of his most excellent roles. And I'm hoping that he puts out more stuff like this in the future. So, Uncut Gems gets 2 thumbs way up from me. I really think you're going to enjoy it. So, go on and check it out. It's available on Netflix today. So there you have it, yet another episode of the Everyman Movie Review in the books. First up, before even the patrons, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, I finally got a haircut. No, I didn't go out to a salon. If you guys come to my channel just to check out the Everyman Movie Reviews, you're not going to want to miss the video of me cutting my hair live on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. I put up a poll and said, should I wait or should I cut it now? Overwhelmingly, people said cut it. So Roxy had been hitting me up to cut my hair since she got here, and I let her do it. And you can watch the video and all the kind of ridiculousness that went on during that right here on the YouTube channel. You're going to find that video right here. And I'm going to be looking to do more videos like that. So make sure you check out all the new releases on the channel. You're not going to be disappointed. Now, one thing you won't see here on YouTube is the longer version of it, the one with bonus footage after the live stream stopped, because that is only for my patrons over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek. Some folks over there are getting behind the scenes action. They're getting exclusives that nobody will see. They're coming along with me as I write my next book. Those are all things you can experience for as little as $1. It is 100% worth it. And you can also then know that you're supporting me doing my work and everything that I'm doing. So go on over to Patreon, sign up to be a supporter, and check out all of the stuff I have going on over there. And of course, I don't want to forget about the social media. You can find me on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, TikTok, everywhere at Robert N. Cheek. I try to keep up. I try to post a lot. I have been posting an exponential amount during the George Floyd protests. So make sure you're following me to get all the latest on my life. And of course, one last thing, robertncheek.com, still under construction, but we are starting to get more content up there. If you're looking for anything about what I'm working on or what I have or what's out there in the world, you're going to find it at robertncheek.com, including all of these videos, the other videos from YouTube, the books, the screenplays, all of that. At robertncheek.com, that's the place to go. You're not going to want to miss it. And finally, if you can't get enough of me because, why would you? Make sure you're checking out the Oh the Anthem podcast. New episodes every single Tuesday at ohtheanthem.com, on YouTube at Oh the Anthem, and on anchor.fm patreon.com/Oh the Anthem. Me and my buddy Corey have now done 320 plus weeks of consecutive new episodes, new material every single week. But thank you for checking out this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you a little break from everything that's going on in the world around us, and that it lets you recharge and give yourself a little self-care. Make sure you come back. New episodes every Thursday and one day in between, plus other stuff that's going on that's not the reviews. Make sure you turn on the notifications. It'll let you know whenever I post something new. And until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other. Have a great week, everybody.